Steph Curry was asked by Gilbert Arenas who the greatest point guard of all time is, and he understandably immediately said, me, himself, Steph Curry. And then, if you watch the longer clip, he did 90-second tribute to Magic Johnson. It was because he says me, he says Steph's the best, and then kind of laughs. And if you just watch it there, it seems like he's being disrespectful. He is not, but he advocates for himself. So here's where I am in a pickle, Bo. I believe both of these things to be true, and this is where I want your take. I believe in the marrow of my bones, the greatest point guard of all time is Magic Johnson, and at present, it is not particularly close. I say at present because Steph is still playing, and he, see what he does, how long he extends this extended prime. But I believe that is currently written in stone. I also believe this. Almost every time I am asked to do one of those exercises of create the best five-man team possible, I choose Steph over Magic.
I can see it.
Whenever we are talking about, like, all right, Jordan's your 2, LeBron's your 3, Kareem or Hakeem or Shaq are your 5, it's like, all right, pick your point guard. I'm like, all right, so Magic's better, but this team is better with Steph. And so those two things seem in conflict, but I believe Magic is the best point guard ever. I believe Steph is the point guard you would most want on almost any team ever. Where you stand?
All right, so where that Steph thing comes up to me is that now that we are in an era where a team that doesn't shoot a lot of threes shoots 20-something a game, Steph Curry looks a lot better, right? Like in the game as it currently exists, it can be hard in your mind to think about how you put Magic into it, and you think about Steph as floor spacer, and so you think of him as better player on that team. Here's the wild thing about Magic that people lose sight of. He was actually held back for like 5 years because he was playing 2 guard until they got around to trading Norm Nixon away for Byron Scott, right? Yep. He averaged a borderline triple-double, I want to say, in year 2, which is like 19, 9.5, and 9.5 or something like that. Playing 2 guard.
Yes.
They went to the finals 9 times in 12 years, and after not playing basketball for 5 years, Magic came back and averaged, I want to call it, 15, 6, and 7.
Well, listen, he missed 4 full years, and in his first game back at 36 years old, overweight, Magic, what he did in that first game back, I've got it right here. My apologies. I said I have it right here, but I don't. Yeah, I do. First game back, he goes 19, 8, and 10. In the first 2 games of the playoffs that year, averaged 23, 10, and 4 against the defending champion Rockets. So Magic's, here's the other thing. You brought up the beginning of the career. You also have to recognize Magic essentially had a career-ending injury.
Yes.
We don't look at it that way because it was HIV, but Magic played 12 seasons pre-HIV. Those 12 seasons, Magic Johnson, 9 times first-team All-NBA, 9 times first, second, or third in MVP voting, 9 times in the NBA Finals. So 75% of Magic's seasons, he was first-team All-NBA, 75% he was top 3 MVP, 75% he was in the NBA Finals. Steph, as great as Steph is, Steph has been first-team All-NBA 4 times. Steph has been top 3 MVP voting 3 times. Like, there is a level to, and the fact that Magic, the last game he played pre-HIV was the finals against Jordan. It's not, now was he still peak apex Magic? No, but he was 2 years removed from an MVP.
1 year.
1 year removed from the league MVP, correct, and had just led a team to the finals. So he was still going as a top 5 player in the league. I feel like Magic gets a little overlooked, or I don't want to say overlooked because he's Magic Johnson, but I am now starting to get to the age where, and this happens with Hakeem a lot too, where people act as if Hakeem's career started in the finals in the 90s.
Right.
That was a post-prime Hakeem Olajuwon. He was no longer at his apex. Now, he was still the best player in the league those years, but like Hakeem in year 2 is in the finals, or year 3 in the finals, putting up 30, in year 3 is in the playoffs, averaging 37 a game. Like, so there's some of the 80s stuff gets glossed over. So I think Magic's the best ever. What do you think there is a path for Steph in your mind becoming the best ever?
I mean, the path would be if Steph Curry winds up with 5 championships like Magic Johnson had 5 championships, right?
Sure.
Then all of a sudden we're having a bit of a different discussion. Like you and I have talked about this with the Steph LeBron thing. It gets weird if he gets to 5 and LeBron does not, right? I still think LeBron's a better player. It just becomes harder to talk to people about it.
Sure.
The thing that I think gets lost, though, about Olajuwon in the 80s, and it's the same thing with Magic in the late 80s, early 90s. Olajuwon was carrying bombs, man. Like, after 86, it was Akeem Olajuwon and 11 dudes in Houston. Yep. Right? They'd have been better off with 11 dudes from Houston, because then I would know they had some fight. Instead, it was just 11 dudes that happened to be in Houston. Magic, the 89, 90, and 91 teams are all on Magic's back. Those are not Showtime Lakers. You go look at that 91 roster that lost to Jordan, it's Magic and dudes.
Well, and so there's two other points to that. One is 89, they're going for the three-peat, and Magic gets hurt, and you know what I mean, is not really able to compete. That's right.
That's 89.
89 gets hurt, and Detroit ends up running away with it. In 90, Kareem is gone, and now all of a sudden the scoring load, which Magic experienced, I got to carry this team scoring as a rookie in Game 6 of the finals and dropped 42. And then a decade with Kareem. And then in 1990, he all of a sudden has back-to-back 40-point playoff games, which again validates the idea that if he had to fully carry scoring load, he could have, but was not, because it wasn't what was needed or what was best for the team, which is also, in a weird way, that run, even though it didn't have a championship, was similar to Steph's last championship, a validation of an already unimpeachably great career of, when the circumstances change dramatically, you can even up your game or change your game. Where I think this should be stated is, I would have told you 3 years ago, this will never be a discussion. And the fact that Steph extended the prime post-Durant, what he did in the championship run 2 years ago, and honestly, what he did in the playoffs last year with a broken team that was not a very good team, the 50-point Game 7, all of it, to me, it has put Steph, at the very least, in that top 10 conversation, and it makes the Steph versus Magic conversation legitimate, even though I think it's still clearly Magic.
Yeah, like, the Magic thing that I think gets lost, and I understand why it gets lost. This whole he's a 6'9" point guard thing. I understand it right now. That doesn't seem like the craziest thing in the world to you, because you've grown up in an era with LeBron James or all these switchable 6'9" sort of guys. However, to this day, other than LeBron, I can't think of how many guys Magic's size were not just running the break from the middle, but also pushing the pace from the middle. Because even with LeBron on the break at most dangerous is full head of steam, running on the wing.
Yeah.
What are you going to do on the 3-on-2, right? Magic is accelerating the pace with the ball from the middle at 6'9" in an era where that honestly would have made him a big power forward. Like, that was a time where power forwards were honestly not even any good.
Yep.
And this guy was doing that from there. So, like, I think Steph has an argument depending on a few, like, very technical sorts of characteristics. You can say, basically 3 is bigger than 2.
Yeah.
That's what gets us here, is the fact that 3 is bigger than 2, and it's way bigger than 2 by percentage. But no, I can't.
I can't either.
I can't see it. But again, if somehow, which is not going to happen this year, though I should never say anything's not going to happen with Steph, because that guarantees that that's going to happen. They're not going to win a championship this year. If somehow he said, jump on my back, boys, and carry them to a championship,
a lot of math.
It changes everything.
It changes a lot of math on a lot of things. And so the last thing, your point about the pushing the pace is, I think, really interesting, because when you're talking about 6'8" plus point guards, I was thinking, well, Luka, but Luka's not pushing the pace. Luka's not doing anything like what Magic is doing. Hey, thanks for watching. Hit the subscribe button to get more from the show, and make sure to click the bell to get notified every time new content drops. Check out full episodes of What's Right wherever you get your podcasts, or just click the link in the description below.